Welcome to the channel where today we're making a Chinese Sichuan-inspired hot sauce. And we're going to be combining some classic Sichuan ingredients. I've got some dried chilies here. They're going to add a lovely heat and a nice earthy flavour. And I've got some Sichuan peppercorns. They're going to add a nice bright citrusy tingle. And these two elements are going to combine to make mala, that distinctive spicy but numbing tingly sensation that's typical of Sichuan cuisine.
Oh, so tingly.
Now I should specify that this isn't in any way a traditional Sichuan dish. I'm just using some Sichuan ingredients and that classic flavour profile as inspiration to make a really tasty hot sauce. It's going to be fermented for flavour, so I've got a nice clean jar here ready to go. Let's get started. Now these are Sichuan peppercorns and they're responsible for the numbing, fizzy, tingly feeling that you get from Sichuan food. They come in both red and green. Green are a little bit more pungent, but red is often a little bit easier to find. Either one will work for this recipe. I'm using a little bit of both, but either way, to find these you're probably going to need to make a trip to your local Asian grocer. And whenever I'm visiting an Asian grocer, I make a point of picking up some of my favourite extra spicy noodles. Now I've got a smaller jar than I usually use because I'm only making a small batch today. I find that I have so many ideas for hot sauce recipes that I want to try that I end up with way too much hot sauce. So I'm trying to get into the habit of making smaller batches more often. So for my first ingredient, I've got some beautiful red Sichuan peppercorns. They smell beautifully fragrant, they're really floral and a little bit citrusy. I'm not really sure how much to add because I've not made anything quite like this before, but I think to start with, I'll go in with about 1.5 tablespoons of those. Next up, we've got our green Sichuan peppercorns, and they are the more pungent of the two. And they've got a really strong citrus aroma. So I'm going in with about a tablespoon of those. So for the chilies for this sauce, I've got some homegrown dehydrated serrano chilies from my last year's harvest, and I've got some dried red chilies that I bought from my local Asian grocer. I've picked out a dozen nice looking chilies of each type, and as I put them into the jar, I'm just going to give them a bit of a snip long ways with a pair of scissors. I want the fermentation brine to be able to access the inside of the chilies so that they ferment and don't rot. So a quick snip with the scissors, and that should do nicely. I'm also adding about a half a dozen cloves of garlic, which I'm just going to roughly bruise with a knife. They should give the sauce a nice sort of savoury pungency, which will be really nice. And next up, for a bit of brightness and freshness, some fresh ginger. So I've got about a thumb-sized piece. I'm not being too fussy. I'm not going to bother peeling it. That's all fine for the sauce. I'm just going to roughly slice that into chunks. And that's good to go. I've also got myself a nice chunky green onion. This has come straight out of my garden, so it's beautiful and fresh. And again, I'm just roughly chopping that into chunks. The sauce is going to be blended eventually anyway, so you really don't need to be too fussy. I'll use the white part and most of the green, I think. No sense in letting it go to waste. And then that can go into the jar as well. Now the jar looks like it's getting a bit full, but trust me, if we put a little bit of pressure on this, we'll be fine. And then lastly, to add a bit of sweetness, earthiness, and to bulk the sauce out a bit, I've got a medium-sized carrot, which again, I'm just chopping fairly roughly. And then those pieces of carrot I'm just placing in the top, gently pushing down, just to make sure that there's space for everything. And now that all of our ingredients are in, I'm filling the jar with some filtered water. So now that I've got my jar topped up with water, I'm going to weigh the jar and its contents, and it's 945 grams. And from that, if I subtract the original weight of the empty jar, which was 400 grams, that means the contents of my jar is 545 grams. Now, I want the salt concentration in this fermentation to be about 2.5%. So if I take my 545 and I multiply by 0.025, that means I need to add 13.6 grams of salt. And as usual for fermentation, we're using a pure sea salt. You don't want to use table salt or anything that's got anti-caking agents or iodine, just pure salt from the sea. Then what I'm going to do is strain out this water into a separate jug. And now we'll dissolve the salt into the liquid from the jar, and then we'll strain our salty water back in. So while this ferments, we want all of the ingredients to stay submerged below the brine. So here I've got a fermentation weight. This one doesn't quite fit all the way inside the jar, so I can't put a lid on, but it should be just enough to push things below the surface. So I'm also going to put this on a plate to catch any spills. I'm just gently pushing that weight down until everything is submerged. A little bit of overflow onto that dish is fine. And then instead of a lid, just to make sure that no airborne particles find their way into the top, I'm just loosely wrapping that in some cling film. This is now going to sit at room temperature for about 2 weeks. During that time, it'll ferment and bubble, the flavors will mingle, and the lactic bacteria through fermentation will create acidity and a whole bunch of savory complex flavors. Now, I will be checking this daily to make sure that the level of brine stays at the top and to make sure that the fermentation looks nice and healthy. If the water level drops, I'll simply top it up with a little bit of fresh water. There's no need to add more salt because the concentration of salt in the liquid should remain the same if there's some evaporation. So, now we play the waiting game.
No, the waiting game sucks. Let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Okay, it's been exactly 2 weeks and this has been fermenting away quite nicely. I have had to top the water up with some filtered water a couple of times, probably 3 or 4 times during the fermentation, just to make sure that everything stays submerged. But it looks like a healthy fermentation. Let's open it up and see how it looks. We'll take out our weight. Everything's still nicely submerged. That's a good sign. It smells nice and clean. It's got a little bit of complexity from the fermentation, but other than that, it smells like a nice clean ferment. So now it's time to turn this into sauce. I'm going to tip all of the contents of the jar into my saucepan. I'm keeping all the liquid. Sometimes I keep a little bit of the liquid to the side so I can adjust the consistency of the sauce later. This jar is pretty tightly packed, so I think I'm going to actually need all of that liquid. I can still remove a little bit after it's cooked, but for the time being, I like to keep all the liquid in the pot. Now I am going to add a couple of extra ingredients to this sauce before I cook it out. One is some vinegar. This is going to give it a lovely acidic tang. It's also going to keep the pH nice and low, which is going to make sure that the sauce keeps fresh for a very long time. Pretty much any vinegar should be fine for this. I've really been enjoying white wine vinegar in my hot sauces lately. But this time around, to stick with the Chinese Sichuan theme, I've also got a little bit of Chinese black vinegar. This is going to add a little bit of extra complexity and keep with the Chinese flavors. So I've got 1/3 cup measure. I think that's going to be about enough for the vinegar in total. So to that, I'm going to add probably a couple of tablespoons worth of the black vinegar, and the rest will be the white wine vinegar. So to start with, a little bit of the Chinese black vinegar, a couple of tablespoons worth. That is probably going to darken and murky the color of the sauce a little bit, but I think I'm cool with that. And then the rest, white wine vinegar. In we go. And then some sweetness to round it out. A couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. Then we'll put that on the heat and bring it to the boil. And then once that's come to a boil, I'll turn the temperature right down to low and just let it bubble away for about 10 minutes. Oh. And it might be a good idea to put some extraction on, because the air in the kitchen is getting a little bit spicy. So I'm now going to give this an initial blend to get it relatively smooth. We'll then give it an initial taste test to see if it needs any adjustment, and we'll make any necessary refinements from there. Whoops, that's not plugged in. And there we go. Okay, now I'm going to give this a preliminary taste test. A couple of things to keep in mind at this point is that it's still a bit warm and it will taste different when it's colder. The flavors will be a bit more muted, so if anything's really sort of screaming out flavor-wise at the moment, I'm not going to panic too much because it will mellow out. So at the moment, I'm really just looking to see if I've got a roughly good balance of sweet, salty, spicy, savory, acidic. If those things are relatively in balance, the sauce is good to go. If it's not, I'll make some minor adjustments. I think this is pretty good. There's one tiny little extra addition that I might add. Probably unnecessary, but I am just going to add a small amount of MSG. Totally not necessary. This already has a fair bit of savory flavor, but about a half teaspoon of MSG will just give that savoriness a little bit of a boost and help to also enhance some of the supporting flavors. Not everyone is comfortable with using MSG, and that's totally fine. Generally speaking, it's very safe for most people. I've got a whole MSG themed video where I ferment a hot sauce in MSG rather than regular sea salt. If you haven't checked that out yet, I'll link it here. Another optional ingredient is some xanthan gum. This will help to thicken the sauce slightly. It'll give it a nice glossy sheen, and it'll also help to make sure that it doesn't separate out from the solids and the liquids when it's in the bottle. You don't need too much. If you add too much, the sauce will take on a bit of a slimy texture. For this amount of sauce, I'd go in with about 1/8 of a teaspoon, and you want to add it slowly as you're blending because you need it to mix in really well. Next, I'm going to be passing the sauce through a strainer to get rid of some of the solids. Now, normally I would call this an optional step. It just gets the sauce a little bit smoother. In this particular instance, this sauce is pretty chunky. There's a lot of seeds from those dried chilies and the husks from the peppercorns, and some of those chunks will be a bit hard and unpleasant to eat. So for a better eating experience, I think in this particular instance, it's worth a little bit of extra effort to pass it through a sieve. And we're not going to be wasteful. This leftover pulp can be dried out and used as a really flavorful spice rub. In this particular instance, I'm going to mix it with a little bit of soy sauce and use it to marinate some beef jerky. That way we get the most out of our ingredients and we don't waste any of that beautiful spicy flavor. And now I'm just going to pour that into some sterilized bottles all the way to the top. Try and not overflow. And now I'm going to give these a week or two in the fridge to mature before I give them the final taste test, and I'm super excited to see what this is going to taste like, so stay tuned for that. I mean, the Sichuan peppercorns are the most upfront flavor. Very bright, very citrusy, very savory, very peppery. There's a nice earthiness that comes from those dried chilies that you don't really get from fresh ones. It's really different. It's a good balance of acid, a little bit of sweetness, not too much. It's still very much on the savory side. And the mala effect from those Sichuan peppercorns is definitely in full force. You get this nice wave of warming heat from the chilies and then this weird tingly numbing sensation from the peppercorns. It's really quite exciting. And the heat level is pretty manageable, so you can be fairly generous with it. That is a dangerously good sauce. Oh, it's got a bit of a kick to it when you drink it straight. Ooh, that's good stuff. For more good stuff, check out this other hot sauce recipe here. And until next time, happy snacking. Oh, so tingly. Nice.